Another project here by closed, it seems to be. Let me open a new project. Recent. What happened? Yeah, here it is. So this main activity of our previous example, I haven't touched this part. As I add a new activity, these kind of additional codes were added by default. I hope you remember this. If you note, there is one more keyword stating that inflate, which is already there. So what I tried to do, if you notice your UI, see this, there is some sort of settings floats on the top. So this particular design has been rendered through another layout file. Uh, that's actually called layout inflation, but in this case the layout has been inflated for a menu system. That's why that kind of menu systems were called menu inflate, but still it does the inflation. So you have a context-based layout and inflator, which is exclusive for a specific activity, which your adapter does, because in the activity itself you are inflating. If you are inflating on the top of a menu, you should use the instance of a menu inflator, which, remember, it's all built in. There is a method called get menu inflator in action bar activity parent class, or in this case activity. So using that, I can inflate another layout. In this case, menu is that's of course an XML again, but should be kept inside the menu folder. That's why it is having a suffix menu and one layout file, and whatever your overridden method having an instance or holder for menu, you have to put it and finally make sure you set it true. But I'll write it in detail anyway. Let me remove this. I'll put it from scratch. Probably okay. I'll also go to that inflator so that sorry, the XML. I'll just explain what are all they. This is the XML of the menu, which got created as you create your activity file. It is being built in now. Previously, we were writing manually because Eclipse environment, if you're using ADT, which was not adding, I remember, but I remember I created manually. It is similar to that. Only difference is it's going to have a key. Inner node is going to have an item. Mean I may have a multiple menu items. So in this case, I want to make it as a set next because I want to move the next button on the top. And this keyword show as action never mean there are a couple of maybe the 5 options are available. The collapse action menu action view, it's a later addition, I'm not going to use anyway. If room always never with text, some sort of thing is, if you put if room, this if you notice this action bar does not display the settings directly. I have to click on it and then only it appears, because the previous property was set never. I mean, it does not show, only let the user click on the menu system then you display. So that's the reason it was having never. But if I say if a room, I mean if a space is available, display. So this is what I have made it now. I think my projects are moving between. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I set it as if row, mean if a space is available. The action bar, if after adding a button, if at all, if you put a button, after adding the title, if you have a space, display here. The text itself would be displayed. It's nothing but some sort of text. Okay, I've just updated. You can add as many as items, as many as menus if at all required. Uh, but I don't have usage anyway. So in this case, action, I just change the keywords, making to action next. Action prefix is something that Android has put, not necessarily all it need to have a unique ID. Okay. And I'll try to make it as a never. The settings will still be hidden, but only thing, the next will be visible. Executing. Yeah, it's done. I'm not sure whether I'm going to get the menu because I removed some sort of default codes. So that's again obvious thing because I removed the default codes. So let me put it back. This time I'll manually put it. Adding a menu on action bar is called option menu, because putting a menu system on the top of action bar is optional. The user, if they want to click, he may click. So like that, they have kept it as an option menu. So you may look for a method which is already available in activity on create option menu. So and for click events, you want to detect on option menu items select. These two methods you need to implement. If you really want the option menu to appear, option menu on create on option menu selected. Okay, so that's pretty fine. Once you have it, you have to inflate your layout. So get menu inflator, inflate, and tell the layout of a menu. This typically comes from r.menu.menu main, and the holder, that this is where the menu is going to get inflated. This is the basic view. On the top, this view is going to be inflated, and it's been added to, because the return statement should always come to an end. That's why I kept the super statement accordingly. So I've just added my menu, option menu. So this is a pair because this is the view system, this is a event listening system. So when a menu is getting added with the help of an inflator, the menu may have one or more items. The user may click one or any other item. So which item gets clicked, that I can capture here. So as usual, statement goes, if we prefer to use switch case, so item get item ID equal to r dot I dot next. Oh, sorry, it's a switch statement. It's pretty pathetic. So case. So break should have this. So if next is clicked, it will appear here. That something gets clicked, it's going to appear here. But before checking it, because there's some sort of duplicate ID exists, because the next I have already given for a button, I need to modify that a little bit. But before that, I would like to check how the menu appears. You see. Okay, you notice the next is showing here, but whereas the additional one settings has been hidden, because this had action settings show as action set to never, and other one if room, if a space is available, display. Remember, if there is no space, that will again eventually go into the menu system, hidden one, because we have given the choice. If I set always menu, it will always appear irrespective of space available or not. Sometime it may look a bit cranky if you have a larger label which is already title which is already added. So it's up to you the way your navigation demands. But I've noticed one thing in emulator version running API level 8, 2.2 in your case. This part doesn't appear because it is having some sort of bug, and I need to add some additional code to make it work. But anything you put, if room available, it displays the menu. So while you write the code, you'll get into that issue. But try to see, this particular part is having some sort of issues for a lower end version. But the menu appears if room and always these protocol, I mean these particular attribute values respected. And if you really want it, you have to create your emulator which is running a higher version. That's the only way to fix it. If at all you still need a lower memory footprint and you still want the higher version running, I would recommend in such a case you can create an emulator instance of Nexus 1 API level 19. Uh, that slightly takes a lesser memory because it has a lower pixel, 480 800 pixel, because it's somehow similar to the lower end version, so it will occupy some sort of lesser memory. So I would recommend you people try creating this emulator in your machine. But see, I'm not very sure because I tested on only Mac system, but I'm not sure about the Windows system how things goes on. But you may try this emulator having API level 19, so you won't get into this kind of issue what I'm facing here. Okay, fine. So now that menu appears and we need to capture them. So but I need to get rid of this button because this button is right now we are using the user to navigate to another example. So okay, so let me see, need to do some sort of layout correction as well. So this next button I want to get rid of it, but if I do that I just need to make sure, okay, it's not going to hurt much. This particular part I just need to remove. It's already having a match parent, so whatever available space it will occupy, but it will still keep the list view below to a input holder which is of a linear layout, so that's fine. So just I remove the button called next, so that I'm going to move it to an action bar. I need to do some correction as well here because the button, initializing this button will cause null pointer exception because this button has got removed now. Let me remove the object as well. And this part we are going to move to here. That saves a pretty larger space because in this kind of a small form factor devices, and we have to save as much space for a content to display, not the navigation itself occupies a lot of space. So action bar somehow helps me to keep the navigation in a proper way. So now I move this next. If the user click on the next button, he'll be taken to the other activity. I remove the button now. I want to make sure it's no more. One second. Okay. Let me check. Layout, I got rid of this one, how the design appears. Okay, looks fine. Time to run. some sort of error. Oh, okay. This it's called action next. It's not next. I think I just follow the same convention. I would recommend some sort of naming convention you guys follow. But I haven't checked your code. But if you're all creating an object, say array as ARR or A, B, C, or something like, if you create a naming, if you put a naming for your object, it doesn't serve the purpose of for what purpose you're using. So that's the reason I give some sort of relevant names, next or back, and I also make sure I should not take the reserved keywords. But this is a dangerous one. Using save maybe a risky one, because that word could have been taken as one of a built-in object. I could have maintained save underscore button, so I can, by seeing itself, this ID belongs to a button. So I don't, when the suggestion comes, I can easily pick up. That will avoid a lot of errors, exception errors. So try to put us a proper naming convention in place while you write the code. I hope the code is running now. Okay. So clicking next, I just went to other activity. The back also will move it here. This time the back will keep it here. So this is a simple convention we follow. So when the user click on a back, you will be coming back to this activity. So next here on the back here. So we'll remove these buttons which was handling the navigation. So we'll move everything to a option menu. Remember, option menu always appears on action bar, starting from API level. I forgot the version 3.0. API level should be, let me see, what is the API level? Sorry. It's coming here. Okay. So API level, if you want to see, so Android 5.x or 5.0, it's called API level 21. 4.4 watch, that is considers API level 20. 4.4x, the KitKat version, phone version, consider API level 19. 4.3 is 18 to 17. So in this case, the action bars and this kind of a menu system introduced in 3.0, the API level 11 actually. So from here onwards, that the action bars were introduced, the menus were moved to the action bar. Previously, the menus, it doesn't mean the option menu was not existing. Option menus were there, but it was put under hardware keyboard, hardware key called menu itself. If you notice the older devices, uh, it had a button looks like a menu itself. So clicking that, the menu will appear at the bottom as a choice. You can very well check the scenario in an older version of devices. This menu will still appear. It means that particular menu will appear here. You could have noticed, if you are running the older devices, you may have seen the menu will appear at the bottom when you click some buttons. So that option menus were appearing here. Now it has been moved on the top to an action bar, starting from API level 11 onwards. So that's the difference. I think probably I've added that in my website also. Let me see if I can show you how the option menus were appearing before. Sure. I remember adding a screenshot long back. Yeah, here it is. So this is how it was showing in right now, showing in 3.x and 4.x on onwards version, and this is the previous version. It was appearing at the bottom, and much more previous version 1.x and it was appearing like this. So this option menu has gone into various evolution, and this right now appears like this. So This is a context menu. Of course, this is an option menu. So previously it was looking like this. Later it was moved in this way, and later pattern appears here. But the code remains same. The placement got changed according to the later versions add-ons. And of course, this is what the context menu I'm going to see. I'm going to explain that now. That's how it was looking. Put it back. So now we'll move the back button also to option menu. So it is there in the simple list activity, which already have these things, but this action settings I don't want. I really want to add. Actually, I want to add the back button to the extreme left. So that we already attempted. I remember one of an example we have already added. But there are various ways, but still the best way, easiest way, programmatically adding. So you need to get the instance of action bar. Make sure the action bar import happens with the support library android.support v7. There is one more import also available, that is called android.app. That is only for the emulators running version 4.x onwards or 7 onwards, API level, maybe the 3.0 onwards. So make sure you import the support library, in this case action bar. Make sure you access through get support action bar and something like that. No? It was some display, set display home as up enabled, set to true. So in that case, a small arrow will be put near to that, so that will look like a back button. That will always have an ID. I'll remove this. Dot sorry, Android id home. That's always is a constant, global constant. So that's the reason I'm accessing through android.r. So it will always have uh, the same ID. If you enable the display as home button up enable, it's actually a home button, but we are just converting it as a back button. And finish your activity. That will take the user back to the previous activity. So we have done that, and I need to get rid of this one, the back button, which I'm not going to need. And first remove the code. There's a back. I removed it. So this back, which at the bottom we are not going to need, and of course I'm just going to get rid of this as well. So we'll have to test. So next takes me to the previous activity. If you notice, this bar has been put. Now that clicking it take me back. So now I don't need this additional button. I can still reserve all the space available for my content to appear, the main content to appear. So the rest of the parts been done already. So it still works. So the settings I haven't removed, but if you really don't want it, you can just empty the menu and you can set to never, but that won't appear at all. And okay, so this has been done, and I want you to create this kind of option menu as a default navigation system. If at all, if I say, hey, you create an activity, and if you want to put show a different content, try to see if there is any possibility you can put a button on action bar, and always give a back option if layout is having a child element. For example, I mean the activity, for example, for this activity I am considering uh, this particular activity is a child, because without seeing the first activity no user can come to this activity. So in that case I always recommend putting a back button if at all needed. Don't try to add a button, a normal button here. Try to put a back button always. So give a standard navigation, make it standard always. So if your application involves multiple activity, try to see if the back button can be put on the action bar itself. And any additional navigations or any menu system you want to put, try to start using the action bar option menus, and use the effective space for your content display or whatever content thing you try to explain. For example, in this case the list view is going to take the registration data, and that's actually appears. And the other menu system is context menu. First thing, the option menu, it's actually appearing on the action bar, and it can be accessed by click of our action menu items, and we can access them. That's it. For a context menu is always hidden one. Context menus are triggered only when a view or typically a button or anything long pressed. I mean, it has to press for a while, and then the context menu can be triggered. Uh, I can attach the context menu to a specific component like a button, list view, anything which takes a event listener, for example, click listener. So, but the context menu always appears when the user long press the particular widget. So let's see how I can put a context menu. Okay, I'll put the context menu here in second activity. That's where we added our simple adapter for populating the list view. It is this pretty much same way like you do the option menu. So on create context menu in this case. Similarly, we have event listening on context item selected. If you notice the similar naming convention, one is on context item, on create context menu, it is similar to on create option menu, and on context item selected, on option item selected. But only difference, this is a normal menu, this is a context menu. Adding a context menu pretty easy. You can programmatically add that, otherwise you can through layout inflator also you can do it. Let me programmatically add one more example. We'll see if I can add it programmatically. So the context menu instance is appearing here. Yep. There is one argument available, add, which is going to take a couple of arguments, one being group, another one is being ID, and the third one being order, and finally what is that? Let's see. What's that? Okay. So group ID, I'm not going to group this menu to any other groups. I don't have any grouping system. Item ID, any unique ID you can assign. Sorry, not too much complex. Make it this one. See, if these things are constant, I would recommend still define it as a constant, but for testing purpose. Order, let it automatically assign, I just keep it 0. What you want to display, edit. One more menu. I think the menu addition should take effect because this argument should get passed so that the menu will be added to your activity. So in this case, the inheritance, the method overriding works in such a way. First, the child class methods or program execution happen first, then the parent execution happen, because that's placement of a super. I kept it at the end. So if you have that super on the top, the first parent methods execution, be remember it's an inherited one because override annotation is there. So the parent methods would be first executed, then your child or this particular thing. But in my case, the addition has been done and it has to affect in the parent. So I need to slightly put a add the super at the end. But I hope sometime it works without that as well. And I can also add a set header title, say okay. And of course capturing them similar. So we have two menus programmatically added, switch case and item, get item ID, case. So this time is constants, the IDs are constant I define. Remember, if I had used the layout inflator, this IDs would have been defined as r dot ID something else. But in this case, just programmatically I created. So that should get added. Now I need to tell who is going to trigger this option context menu. Uh, while writing itself, you may have noticed this is going to be used for a list view. So I need to use a register for context menu past your list view inside. It means your list view has got context menu registration, so long pressing a list view item will trigger the context menu to appear. It can be for a button as well. If you have a button where you want to trigger the context menu when the user click on the button, when he long press on a button, so it's up to you. But in this case, I only have a list view. So see. So I'm going to long press it. This menu appears. Long press means you just need to hold for a while. If you are using the phone, you may notice you can simply hold the button or the item for a while. This menu will appear. See, it's giving you two choices now: edit or delete. Of course, I'm going to use it for editing or deleting purpose. If the user opt for edit, I want to give option to edit the items. If the user click on delete, I want to delete the content. But we need to organize a little. First thing, uh, what I want you to do, uh, move this registration, this kind of entry part, to a next activity where user fill the complete form including the name, subject, gender, all blah 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 stuffs. When he is done with that, he clicks save. Now it comes back to this activity and populates the list view. So that block has to be moved there, and it's actually hands-on for you for today and Monday. So this particular part should go to the another activity. So you can put a button add something here. So clicking it will take the user to another activity. There he will enter the form. He'll display the form. He will enter all the information. When you click on save, it finishes the activity and comes back to it. And when it comes back, it should have a list view added. Pardon? Reverse bundling. Typically. So that's part you need to do, but at least I'll for this testing purpose I'll just simply add a delete alone to work, because edit is not my choice, because edit is going to go into the next activity. Let me make the delete at least to work, so that the same concept you can use for edit as well. So in this case, the delete is having an ID 112. This kind of thing I really don't like, so let me put constant static fine. In this case, int. In my case, edit is going to have these are all part of your CMMR or any other standard articles. Once you get deployed, your manager will give bunch of documents on how to name it, how to keep the object naming. That's why I'm starting here itself. If they don't give, at least you understand it should be a standardized one. So in this case, edit. It's all software maturity models. It would keep everything ready for your auditing, and your object naming conventions should be proper. Okay. You may wonder I could directly put it. Why? But yes, we have to do this because to gives an idea. Okay, this is going to be used for this purpose. Any user can simply see the code, or any other developer can understand this. Okay, so I'm going to delete it. So deleting it, let me see. Actually, this is the one. This array list names is going to hold the ID. Sorry, the content. I am going to delete the specific content based on the click of a list item. In this case, I'm going to need one more object to get the index of the selected item on context item selector, that is adapter context menu info. Yeah, that's one. This object is going to hold the adapter instance of the menu, sorry, the list view gets clicked. This is only applicable if you are context menu register for list view. If it is register for button, you don't need to use this. So adapter menu context info initialize. Get menu info. Actually, these objects are not matching each other. Need a typecast because the menu info is an object will retrieve the information about your menu. In this case, the menu is holding an adapter instance, so I can safely typecast it. But this will fail if you are using for a button. That time the menu info won't return any adapter instance. This object will fail. So make sure you use this line only when your context menu register for a list view. Okay. Now names delete remove. Sorry. Remove the object. You need to give a index. So that is available using position. So this will make sure your one of an item got deleted. But delete will take effect, I'm not sure, but let me update notify the adapter, notify data set changed, so that the adapter understands, okay, the one of item got either added or removed, and update itself. Okay, let's see how things goes on. I need to add one more thing because to see which index gets removed. So let me add a couple of things. Okay, I'd like to delete this one. Delete. It gets deleted. So long pressing and clicking delete removes the particular index, because with the help of adapter context menu info, where is that? Yeah, this object, I get the index of the particular list view which or list item which triggered the context menu, because one particular item I'm going to hold long press, I need to know which item that particular one got the received the on long press. So that context knows, okay, this particular items actually got press and context menu thrown. That could be accessed using get menu info, but it will return an adapter instance if it is a list view which triggers the context menu. If it is a button which triggers the context menu, you won't get this adapter instance. This time this typecasting will fail, but I know my context menu has got registered with the list view, so I'm safely using it. So using that object, I'm getting the position of the item which got long press. So when a user opts for delete, I remove the item by specifying that index, position in the index starts from 0 and it goes. And when the array list gets updated, in this case one of an item got removed, I'm notifying the adapter the items got changed, so refresh yourself. So that makes sure it looks like as if one item got removed. So the similar approach you can use for edit, but in this case you need to take a bundle object if it is for edit to a next activity. There you need to give option to edit the content, and when the user comes back you should again refresh your list view. In that case you may have to use on activity result, which the previous example, and of course I ask you to move the registration. For example, this particular interface which I have kept over here, this particular two fields, I want to get rid of this. I want to move it to the next activity which you are going to create. That form should look like this, exactly like this. This one. I want you to move it. This one. Maybe you can add a roll number additionally, first name and roll number additionally, because that one we are displaying here. But this entire form should be moved to a next activity. User has to fill the form. Once he is say done or save, the activity gets closed and it comes back to the current one which we are discussing. There it populates a list item, and of course the long press will eventually help the user to edit and delete the item. When you're done with this, I can safely think about saving them permanently in the database. Then we'll see what is SQLite also. I'll give this particular part to be finished within Monday afternoon, and you have to start it from now on, and you can do it. Make sure you finish within Monday afternoon, then I'll introduce. If at all you are not doing it, if you have a difficulty, I'll write it off, of course. No hard feelings, of course. If you could not finish, I'll write it off. Okay, so that's it. So we saw option and context menu today. One more thing is there, dialogues. Probably I'll talk about that later. I've already taken a couple of minutes from your break, so guys can go for a break.